So OSHA has now started using this GHS system, the Global Harmonization System, for chemicals. It brings in SDS sheets instead of MSDS sheets, which were material safety data sheets. Now they're just safety data sheets. So you have to go through this. It is required that all employees go through this training. So by the end of this training program, you will be able to know how to recognize and manage the hazards in the work area. You will understand the global harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. The basics of hazard communication standard is you have the right to know, meaning you have the right to know if there are any chemicals in this building, you have the right to know what those can do to you, what they'll do to others, the hazards of them, stuff like that. And you'll know the availability of the written HazCom program, and the hazard communication program is going to be inside that. You'll find the list of all the chemicals in our house that we deal with, and the safety data sheets for all of those chemicals. And you'll also be able to access this, you'll be able to read safety data sheets, and you'll be able to look at the sheets and know what they mean, and you'll be able to look at bottles and know what they mean, what is on them. Okay, the requirements for a hazard communication program. Each employer must have a hazard communication program, which is, like I said, the book that'll have all this stuff in it. All employees must receive the hazard training, which you're receiving right now. An inventory of all the hazardous substances in the workplace must be maintained. Easter seals, we're not going to be dealing with too much stuff. You're mostly going to see bleach, common household, things like that. Most companies obviously will deal with other more extensive chemicals, so you guys will have it pretty easy here. All containers of hazardous products must be properly labeled. So when you look at the bottle of bleach, you'll see what's going on. You'll see that it's what the dangers are, stuff like that. And then the manufacturers and suppliers must provide information on the hazardous materials they produce or supply. So we're not going to be seeing too much. That's basically if a company is receiving a bunch of shipments of some chemical XYZ, you'll have the sheet, before you even touch it, you'll look at the sheet, and they have to supply that to you. It's not on you guys to go and print this offline and be like, alright, we're going to have this in our house, we need to know what the dangers are. It's on them to ship it with the chemicals. And this information will be provided on safety data sheets. The SDS sheets will be in the office. They need to be handy to all employees. They'll probably be in the closet on the other side too, because if you ever need them, they need to be accessible to whenever you need them, and that is also to anyone that visits or contractors if they come. What is the Global Harmonized System? It's a system. It's not a standard. It was developed by an international panel of scientific experts, and the UN will be monitoring. It's managed by the UN to synchronize the definitions of chemical hazards. So now, before MSDS sheets, it was different. If you ship them over to Germany, they might have a different system. Now, universally, we will be all on the same system. So if a chemical is shipped from Germany to over here, it'll all be the same, and if we ship it vice versa, all the same material will be passed around. It's not going to be confusing to anyone. It is a defined system that classifies chemicals by their hazard. This includes ensure proper labeling and appropriate safety data sheets. So, like I said, we're now switching to safety data sheets, stuff like that. And it addresses the issues of chemical management and use in a global economy with a diverse set of regulations between countries, regions, and business sectors. So, like I said, everyone will be able to be on the same page. There are 3 major changes to the GHS, and that's hazard classification, the labels, and safety data sheets. Hazard classification is the definition of hazardous chemicals have been changed to provide specific uniform criteria for classification of health and physical hazards. So now you will see what can happen very easily, what would happen if bleach got onto your skin, if stuff like that. The labels, chemical manufacturers, importers, and distributors will be required to provide a label that includes a harmonized signal word, pictogram, hazard statement for each hazard class and category, and precautionary statements must also be provided. I have an example of a label that I'll be showing you in a little bit, but I'll explain that more when we visually see it. And then safety data sheets will be a specified 16 section format. So, and I also will go into more about that. All satellites to Easter seals are included within this program, so it's all of Easter seals on the same page. And this program, if for some reason you want another copy, you can look online, or you can go to Auburn Street and say, hey, look, we need it. But this binder will always be, or there will be a binder in the office and in the closet over there. So if those get misplaced, inform someone and they'll go to Auburn Street and get it for you. Terms to know, hazardous chemical classifications. It defines a hazardous chemical in the physical and health hazard classes and categories. Chemical inventory is just a list of all chemicals at the work site. So that is a very bland list. It's literally just a list. It doesn't say what they do. It's just so you know if OSHA wanted to come in or if anyone wanted to come in and they said, show me what you have for chemicals here. You just go, here's the list, boom. And safety data sheets, which is the specific information about each product. And labeling, which is pretty self-explanatory. So now they have these pictograms, and this is an example of a label. This is what you're going to be looking at. And there'll be one pictogram up here, and if it needs another one, they fill them in these corners. Mm-hmm. But each pictogram means a different thing. So oxidizers, you'll see that label. Mostly we will see flammable, which is just flame. Skull and crossbones, which is toxicity. So bleach will probably have that.
This is just a sign, right?
Yeah, these are so you can quickly look at it and go, oh, this is what is going to be the hazard. If you see flame, so if you look at it and there's flame, just know this is flammable, don't bring fire near it. If you see this, toxicity, don't touch it with your skin. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. Exclamation points, irritant, so bleach probably would be considered an irritant. So those are all the different pictures. So this is a label. You got your pictograms up in the corners. Down here, it says danger. This is the signal word. I mentioned that before. It's either going to say danger or, I believe it was warning, if it's more serious. Yeah, it'll be, danger for more severe and warning for less severe. So bleach is probably going to be a warning because it's not, if you get some on your skin it might burn a little bit, but it's not like, hey, go to the hospital. I mean, obviously if you swallow it, that'd be a bigger deal. But danger is more like anything that is near flame will just go up, and that would be obviously hazardous to the company. So that's danger, and then it explains next to it what the danger is. So this one would be toxic if swallowed, and flammable in liquid and vapor form. Mm-hmm. So that's what you need. So when you see the flame, you go, oh, it's flammable, and it's flammable as a liquid and a vapor. And then the toxicity, oh, careful if you swallow it. Then it goes down here. Further down, it'll say what not to do with that. So don't bring flame near it, don't drink this, don't do stuff like that. Down here, it says the company, where you can, the supplier, and we already went over the precautionary statements. So yeah, basically when you're looking at a label, the first thing you should look at is what the chemical is, and then the pictograms, and sometimes it wouldn't even say danger or warning if it's not required. So that is what a label looks like now. Before it was a much more confusing thing. This is also the label you'll probably see on that would be more like what you were handed. This will be on the thing itself. It has the code number, the pictograms you see up here, the signal word. So this is just another example of a label. I believe these are the labels that they put on the barrels of whatever's being moved, and then this will be in the SCS sheet. Okay. Like I said before, for safety data sheets, it requires the company send safety data sheets with you so that you know what you're dealing with. And this doesn't go into effect. Everyone needs to be trained by December of this year in this system. It doesn't officially go into effect until June 1st, 2015. So for the time being, you might see people that are ambitious switch to SGS sheets. So you might have those, or you can still get material safety data sheets until 2015. After that, you should be strictly only receiving SDS sheets. The 16 steps to an SDS sheet are all listed here. Identification includes the product identifier, manufacturer or distributor name, address, phone number, emergency phone number, recommended use, and restrictions on use. Section 2 of that will now be hazardous identification, includes hazards regarding the chemical required label elements. First aid measures includes what the symptoms would be, the effects, if they're acute, delayed, and then what are the required treatment. So some of these, a big thing with OSHA that a lot of people don't realize is that they think, well, right now, what is this going to do to me? But OSHA has a very big concern with long-term effects. Not so much, obviously, in this field, but like coal miners, not so much then, but then years down the road, their lung, the black lung, problems with breathing, stuff like that. So they want to make sure you know that not only are they going to be possible right now, but also what to look for down the road, stuff like that. Firefighting measures, some chemicals you can't just spray with a fire extinguisher or put water on. On an electrical fire you'd want to use, not water, you'd want to use like a CO2, stuff like that. Accidental release measures, so like if something happens and it spills, you tip over the bottle. It has the emergency procedures, what protective equipment you should use. They call it PPE, personal protective equipment. So like rubber gloves,